Hi, welcome to Rise and Shine with Alissa. I am your hostess, the consultress, here with my really great friend and financial wizard, Carol Cho. Welcome to Rise and Shine, Carol.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited we get to do this.
Yeah, I love your style of artistry as it is woven through finance. That is like the thing that started us on our journey of connecting, having that rock solid foundation of like the practical, the logistical, the logical, and the fact that at the core we are artists and lovers of people. And so tell me a little bit about your passion and how that shows up in your life and your work.
My passion, where do I begin? I mean, I love, you know this, I love talking anything to do with money mindset, limiting beliefs, our money stories. I'm so fascinated about hearing people's money stories. I have my own, I love sharing it. I am a former artist. Oftentimes I joke that I'm a recovering artist turned financial advisor, but I am the daughter of immigrant parents, a divorcee, a minority woman, and all of these experiences definitely shape the way I have showed up in my financial life in such profound ways. And it's resulted into the person and advisor that I am today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so recovering artist, I love that. I kind of feel like I'm a recovering financial advisor now
Yes,
in
we talked
that
about
in
that.
the land of real estate. Um,
Yeah.
but the common thread here is that the behaviors around what makes us make the decisions that we make. For me, going through the financial services industry from banking to wealth management to corporate, none of it really felt like me. And that artist in me was like, oh, you're drawn to more stuff, different things. So I ventured out into, business and consulting and loving the how the structure all comes out of finance. And finance is really the bedrock of what kind of keeps things moving. And I wanted to ask you because I know recently you have gotten a new designation
Yes.
and it's more around that behavior side of things. So, can you tell us a little bit about what you've been up to? Because I find it to be the leading edge of money mindset and people's like opening up their container for more financial prosperity.
Yes. So I have a BFA, which stands for Behavioral Financial Advisor. And basically, it combines traditional finance with a little bit of neuroscience and psychology. And it really brings to the surface how emotions play a huge role in the way we make decisions in our lives, but particularly when it comes to do with our finances. And when emotions are present when we make financial decisions, it can often lead to subpar choices. So if you are feeling incredibly scared or stressed, filled with anxiety, that is going to result in the quality of the decisions that you make. As well as if you are in exuberance, like you're incredibly excited, that also will impact the way you make decisions, sometimes blinding you from some of the other things that you should be taken into consideration.
Mm,
And I got into this because there's a lot of stories for why I got into financial services, but the one thing that got me really excited about behavioral financial advice is up until, one point in my life, I just simply thought that I don't have the intelligence to understand my money and make decisions about finance because my intelligence is like this it's almost like you have like limiting beliefs about your own intelligence. And when I started to understand behavioral financial advice and it talking about you can make better decisions about your money by understanding your own behavior, your own emotions, and your own values, for me, it was liberating because I was like, oh my goodness, I can take control of my finances and I can make better decisions. I have not only the intellectual capacity, but the emotional capacity to do this. And for some reason, it felt very liberating.
yeah. Well, can you say more about that? Like, how did that show up for you?
How did that show up for me? So I suppose, it showed up in a number of ways. One was forgiving myself for the bad choices that I made when I was younger, as a young adult. So a lot of work on being compassionate about, compassionate to myself, forgiving myself, giving myself grace that I am a human being and that I've made mistakes, but it's okay. And so I can take those mistakes and learn from them. And it has allowed me to show up as a different advisor, to be able to create a safe space in which to have these kinds of conversations with my clients and prospects, to listen to their concerns and their needs better, and just to have more empathy about their experience too. And I think that's how it's allowed me to be a better advisor. And I think that having this kind of perspective when you're talking to clients about their money is the future, especially because of technology, right? Because of AI, because of robo-advisors. There's so many things that an advisor can lean on technology when it comes to portfolio management or building a portfolio. Clients can do so many things on their own, but ultimately, humans want to talk to other human beings. People want to talk to other people. And I think this is where BFA, bringing the human side of money is really kind of the future of the practice.
Yeah. I love what you said about grace and forgiveness for you and your past choices. How many of us can relate to the fact that, as we evolve, we also then reflect back and say, woo, all right, yeesh, right? And that is a very poignant thing to have, especially when we're talking about money. I mean, I think, I've said it before that, money is a very intimate topic for people, especially because it is the reflection of your value, how you spend it, if you save it, where you put it. It is always a reflection of your values. So having someone who can understand who you are before they tell you what to do, I think it's applicable across the board in the future that we're building here going forward. And that having that empathy and the ability to hear not only what people are saying, but feel the context that it's coming from, and understanding what may not be being said, and having compassion, because hey, we've all been there. And especially knowing that you have been there and had that reflection for yourself, I think it gives you a bigger bandwidth to be able to hold people through that discomfort. Because looking at stuff that is unpleasant, look at our world right now. Looking at stuff that is unpleasant is scary and triggery. And some people most of us, right, don't want to look in there. So having that capacity, especially when it comes to how you meet people, where you meet people. I think that's some of the things that you and I've had discussions before about how, the financial services industry is based on the segment out, go gut it out, get it, sacrifice self, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, those strategies are not sustainable. Like, sustainable is the word of the freaking millennium.
Yep.
And the sustainability of human connection, I think, is what, like, every transformative process right now in the whole world is going towards. We're going towards sustainability of human connection. And I love that, what you're up to is like a representation and an expression of that.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah. And you said something really big too at the beginning about the values. And that's one of the big components of BFA is getting clear on what your values are. Because if you can identify what your top 5 values are, that serves as your North Star guiding light when you're trying to make these decisions. And it really helps, especially during times of challenges or discomfort, to reflect on your values before making a decision. Because if ultimately what I want people, we all want more money, but we want money not just because we want money. Like, we want money because of what it allows us to do, right? It allows us to live the life that we want to live. And if we think about what that means, the life we want to live is ultimately being able to live a life according to our own personal values. And when we live a life according to our own personal values, that's when we feel like we're living with purpose, passion, and joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
like,
not
drop
easy.
that mic.
And it's not easy, right? Like we do stumble and fall. How many times have you seen someone, or how many times have you said so to yourself, like, my God, why did I make that decision? Why did I do that? Or why did that person do that? Right? Like we're humans. It's impossible to live a life according to our values 100% of the time. But we want to strive to do that. And when it comes to financial planning, it's really important for me to understand why do my clients want to build wealth? Like, and some it's really having to peel back the layers. And sometimes, they don't think of it early on in the relationship, but as we develop a relationship and trust, like, I really start to uncover what it is that they really want to achieve, like the life they really want. Because ultimately we want to get to the point where we are doing what we want, when we want, with whomever we want for the rest of our lives.
Mm-hmm. And embracing all of the challenges that come with being clear about that.
Yes.
In my experience, if I made a lot of decisions in my life based on what I thought I wanted, because it was what I had heard so often. I thought it was my own thoughts. I got to get a good job. I have to be there forever. That's what consistency means. So I'm going back to your point about kind of having empathy and holding people where they are. One of the stories that came to mind was, I've healed a lot of this in my, 40s now. But the shame that I was carrying around resetting, I used to call it. I had heard that if you can't keep a job, you must be a slacker or whatever else. And every time I would go to a job, I would learn all I need to do. I would head in with a head full of steam, and I would do what I felt inspired to do. I was learning and growing. And at some point, I hit a wall. There was no more growth for me there. I got disinterested, which made me dispassionate, which also then created this inner turmoil for me about not being satisfied. And I got grumpy because I kept putting myself in this position that was confronting me with being dissatisfied. And it was in banking. I climbed the ladder. I did, teller, customer service, weekend manager, it was Commerce Bank at the time. So I was like the wow coordinator. I was out there doing cartwheels in the freaking lobby. I did everything that I could to love all aspects and grow within that job. But I started feeling like there was more for me. And yet every time I chose joy, culture smacked me in the face and was like, but you must be a loser because you can't keep a job, and here I am now, entrepreneur, real estate investor, former homeschooling parent and proud of it, and I have done so many things out of innovation that were against the grain. I've started to recognize that thing that I was shaming myself for once upon a time is like a superpower. Is the thing that allows me to continue to choose what's next. And I'm like, oh, that was an asset that I was like, oh, I was really shitting on myself there for having. So, I'm asking if you can kind of highlight a story for us in like choices financially speaking, because like mine, as I'm listening to you say that, I'm like, mine came up in terms of like career and identity, but how might that show up for someone as they're, in their financial story that you kind of are able to observe and then help hoist them out of?
So I would say, for instance, like artists, I come across quite a number of creatives. And this is something that I experienced myself in the creative community. There's this persona of the starving artist, right? And you can't apparently have you can't want incredible riches and wealth and abundance and be an amazing artist at the same time, because apparently they're mutually exclusive, because that's what the starving artist persona, feeds into that idea. And, you're a sellout if you're a financially successful artist. So in college, those were some of the, messages that I was receiving. And I got sick of living the starving artist life. So that's one of the reasons that, you know, there was multiple reasons why I got into this. So that's something that I want to kind of bring to the surface when I'm talking to other creatives, is that you can want incredible abundance, wealth, and be an incredibly successful artist, and you can stay true to your values and stay in integrity. Like, they're not mutually exclusive. Money and art, yes, can coexist as an artist.
How, Carol? Because, you know, here I am thinking as an artist, thinking as a creative, going like, I do want to sell my art, or I do want to sell my craft, but, you know, money means to be a jerk. Money means that you're very selfish and stingy. Wealth means that, you know, you have to step on all the little people to climb a mountain, and then you get to, you know, sit on your mountain of dead bodies. You know, like, how do you help people to kind of untangle some of those very visceral beliefs, albeit misinformed?
Yeah, there's so much there. I would say it's always on a case-by-case basis. And I want to remind the viewers and listeners that I am not a therapist. I am a certified life coach, but I don't practice that directly. But I would say, you know, ultimately, at the end of the day, I am a financial advisor, and I'm trying to guide people to make better decisions about their money. And so for creatives, you know, we have to kind of teach them to think of their art also as a business, because if they can't sustain themselves and their work, then they can't get their art and their message out to the world. Because ultimately, that's what artists want to do, right? They want to spread their, they want to show up to the world with their perspective, and bring up issues that they feel that the world should be looking at and take into consideration. And that doesn't happen unless there's money behind it, right? Right, wrong, good, bad. It's ultimately, at the end of the day, money is a tool. And so sometimes we have to talk to our clients and remind them that all the muck around money is what like when we label, and the muck around money is not what money is. We have to remind ourselves that, like, everything we attach to money is just our own perspectives and limiting beliefs around money. And the other thing I try to also kind of bring up too that helps is, and I have to give a plug to Rogin about this. She recently wrote a book called Messages from Money, I believe. But I love this because we're all in a relationship with money. And if you think about, if you're in a relationship with someone and you're telling that person, I don't trust you, you're greedy, you're bad, you're evil, how do you think that person is going to then in turn treat you in this relationship? And all money wants to say is, hey, I want to show up for you and allow you to do what you want and spread your word and your good and your joy and your purpose in the best way possible. But you're treating money as if it's the enemy. So oftentimes I try to share that example and have clients kind of go down that exercise of, what's your relationship with money like? How are you talking about money? How do you think about money? And if it's negative, well, why would money want to stick around?
Yeah. So poignant, right? That, and coming back to that human element, right? We are in relationship with everything in our universe, every person, every object. Think about the things that are on your desk or on your walls right now. You put them there for a reason. You know, my daughter made this collage of all these pictures because she knew that when I work, I need to know what I am doing it for, or why I got to where I am, or, you know, who all these lovely people have meant to me because I'm reflected in them. You know, it having that perspective of having connection with things, globally speaking, is what's coming up for many people in this new era where everything's kind of up for review. And if there's no connection, if it's strictly something for its own sake, where the ends justify the means, I think every industry right now is looking at that upside down and going, well, is it useful? Will it continue to be useful? Because if it's not connected, then it's not sustainable. Right. So we're reviewing all the things that took us out of our bodies or out of connection with our surroundings and putting all of that goodness back into place. And I love what you said about the artists seeing their art or their expression as a business model. I think that to me, it's the very business is the very thing that allowed me to express my creativity in the world in a way that felt good and aligned with who I am. Because when you see a gap in value, business is the thing that tries to solve it. So it is connection to me. Figuring
Yes.
out that business model mentality is like a push over the edge for some folks, going from someone else is going to take care of me or something else is responsible for my well-being, and taking 100% ownership and going, I wonder how this is what takes care of me. I wonder how this is the thing that takes care of other people, so it takes care of me. Like that. Oh, that connection is like, if you look for it, you'll see it in absolutely everything. So
Yes.
I love that in financial services, people have access to you. I don't know how many of people like you there are out there, so I'm not going to say have access to people like you, because you're rare. I've seen it. And
Okay.
that's why I have you here. I'm very grateful to know you. I'm very grateful to, conspire in strategic partnership with you along our journeys here. So I want to open the door and allow other people to reach out to you, because what you say is who you are, and I want to share you with the world. So how can people get in touch with you if they've been inspired by something you said here, or want to take the conversation further?
Absolutely. You can email me at carol@ircwealth.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can message me on there. I always offer people the opportunity to meet with me and ask me their, burning question on top of mine. And I'm happy to do that for your listeners too.
Yeah, you've helped out some of my personal friends, and we've had a lot of conversation, Carol. I'm very grateful that you are one of those bright stars in my sky, and my computer just put the drop in the bucket there. I heard it. I don't know if you
Okay.
all heard it, but anyway, I want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for rising above and sharing with people a new way to shine in today's age of disruption, because nothing that is going to be new is normal from where we came from. And reinventing things like financial services, things like the personal approach to how we engage in our world and our wealth. The world needs you. The world needs us. So thank you for your connection with me. And to all of you out there watching, rising and shining in your own rights, don't forget to click like, subscribe, hit the bell so that you get notifications. This show goes live every Monday morning, East Coast time at 7:30 a.m. So stay tuned till next time. For now, Carol, thanks a million, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.